the Forest Department. And I will call on Miss Victoria Chi, who is the manager for the wildlife program and forest officer at the Belize Forest Department. So give her a round of applause as she makes her way to the stage.
Um, so good afternoon, everyone. I know you are all full, and so I will make it very brief. And if you have any questions along the presentation, you can ask, or if you want to wait, then that is fine as well. And my presentation is entitled National Illegal Wildlife Trade. And I will not be presenting much of the law because I have done that presentation for you guys. And I think it will be, if I do that presentation, it will be a repeat of what you have already learned. And I hope that you did learn something from it. So, okay. Like I mentioned, it's going to be very brief. It contains some background on the Forest Department, the legal instruments, and our current status. So for background, like you know, in Belize, threats to wildlife from illegal wildlife trade have historically been low because of the low human population pressure and large wilderness area. The major exceptions are parrots, since they are considered part of Belize's culture by many people at all levels of society. And this is one of the things that I highlighted in my presentation. Many a times when you do public awareness in any area of Belize, when you ask a kid who has a parrot, almost half the classroom would raise their hand and say they have a parrot at home. Exactly. See, even the police department, some police officers have parrots in their home. And so it is considered a culture, but it is also illegal to have one. And like I mentioned, that was then, but now the pressures on wildlife have increased over the last 10 years. And this has been due to the human population and footprints that we've been having, the large forest clearance that we've been seeing. In 1980, our forest cover was 74.4%. In 2021, it has gone down to 60.7%. So we are losing forest. In 2015, we saw that our forest cover went up higher than normal years. And that is because I think in the northern area up here in the Corozal area by Shipstern and that area it was when we saw huge clearance by the Mennonite community. And if you know the Mennonite community, when they clear, they will clear full. When you blink, there's no forest there at all. So they can clear. Within an hour, they've cleared a lot. So that is one of the major reasons why we have had forest clearance and fragmentation. And this is what causes a lot of issues when it comes to wildlife. Also the hunting and poaching incursions across the border. We first thought that the incursions was basically mainly in the western portion of the border, but that's not so. Our incursions are from, especially we have in the western area, but we also have in PG. We have police from PG here, and you would also know that in Halate area and those areas, incursion and poaching is occurring. We have emerging illegal wildlife markets. And so Belize provides habitat for over 134 globally threatened species. 11 of these are critically endangered. 50 are endangered species. We have 73 that are vulnerable species. Of 6 of these endangered species, we have 6 of them that are directly affected by the wildlife trade for pets and parks. So like I mentioned again, The yellowhead parrot is one of the biggest ones that people want as pets. We have 9 species of parrots, but the ones that they want to target is the yellowhead again, because that's the one that mimics people. And so that is one of the species that is heavily trafficked. We also have the spider monkey, we have the black howler monkey, and we have the 2 species of moorlet crocodiles, and we also have the jaguar. And so those are the 6 species that we have seen trends on that are always being created when it comes either for pets or for their parts. Also, in the last 2 years, the wildlife program under the Forest Department has been strengthened, providing more active management and protection of wildlife. We've done capacity building within the department for tackling wildlife issues. We also have a no tolerance policy towards illegal wildlife. We've increased public awareness of the wildlife laws, and hence the reason a lot of you are also here, because you have been learning about the Wildlife Protection Act, something that you guys, most of you, when I asked first, didn't know that there was a law that protected wildlife. The legal instruments, we are guided or governed by the Wildlife Protection Act, Chapter 220 of the Laws of Belize. And we have a program, which is the wildlife program under the Forest Department. And the main role of the program is to enforce regulations for the sustainable management and protection of wildlife. We work to improve the public's appreciation of wildlife and its role in the environment, which is very important. I was in a meeting Thursday, and we would assume that we are working with other agencies that deal with the environment and deal with wildlife. We would assume that they have an appreciation for wildlife. But in this meeting, somebody from public health went and said, there are rabies case in Orange Rock. So, and it's suspected that rabies comes from bats. So the solution to that is, let's kill all the bats, all the bats. You can't go and kill all the bats, not all bats. It's suspected that vampire bats are the ones that cause the rabies. But if you go in a cave and you go and capture all the bats and you don't know which one is a vampire bat, you go kill all. So that is one of the things that we need to educate them on as well. It is also charged with the responsibility of protecting wildlife from illegal hunting, poaching, and other extractive activities. We also have international commitments, as we are a signatory to the Convention on Biological Diversity, and we strive to meet our obligations in maintaining its threatened species, including those targeted by wildlife trade. We also are a signatory to CITES, and this allows us to limit international trade in threatened wildlife through the CITES permitting system. But this does not address the illegal transboundary flow of wildlife entering and leaving Belize again. So wildlife trade in Belize, our current status, we have a supply and demand, hence the reason we have a trade in it. Sometimes it is opportunistic when it's for pets. Sometimes hunters go in, loggers and farmers who do clearance of land are the ones that find these animals and then go and sell them. So they also supply the market. We have target hunting, poaching of parrot chicks, and target poaching is done by our neighboring country. I don't want to say Guatemala because Arkansas is here. But Guatemalans, to be real, come in and poach our scarlet macaws. But it's not only in that section of the country. Down south, we have a partnership with Tide for yellowhead parrots, and they also get poached by Belizeans down south. So it is still done within country. Also, we have people who take young animals, particular parrots and primates. We had several cases, I think this year earlier. A person went to the office and dropped off a baby, I think it's howler monkey. And his story was that they found it on Cahoon Walk on the sidewalk. mysteriously a baby monkey would be in Cocoon Walk in Malmapan City, just doing nothing. So he picked it up because he was so concerned for the animal and brought it to the forest department. But the animal was really tame. It climbed all over the person. So you can believe what you want. Also the demand, we have a local demand for wildlife as pet, a symbolic status, symbol. We have tourism demand for wildlife interactions, photo opportunities. This occurs in Bermuda Landing, Altongha, San Pedro, Kikakar, you name it. Wherever you have a tourist destination, you have that demand. This one here is within community baboon sanctuary, which is the sanctuary for baboons. And if you can see what exactly the tour guide is doing, he says he doesn't feed the monkey per se, but he knows that they love to eat this type of leaf. So he waves the leaves at the monkey and the monkey comes down to grab it from his hand. And then you can take your picture. So it is, this one was confiscated by my guys that are here as well. And this croc was really dehydrated and he was confiscated in Altongha and was being fed, I think, hot dog sausage, if I'm not mistaken. The lady didn't know what else to feed him, so hot dog sausage will do for the croc. And this is one of the ones that we always see in Kikakar is kawatis being held as pets. And people again walking around in San Pedro and Kikakar, and you're allowed to take a picture with it for a fee. We have national and international markets for cat skin, teeth, and claws. And this is a market that is real. And for us, it would be officers that are stationed, for example, in the Benke border. This week alone, a Belizean was caught with 5 croc teeth and 1 jaguar teeth at the Santa Elena border. So it is real. People do have these in their possession. And so we must do our due diligence when they're crossing, and we can check their bags and so on. And it was kind of funny because the person came to tell on the customs department that the customs department removed the teeth from him and they have no jurisdiction to do so. And so he came to the forest department to lodge a complaint at the customs department. So it's kind of funny that he came and did that, but he claims to say that the teeth are coming from San Pedro. So it's just things to bear in mind. Also, market for perceived medicinal properties, jaguars, the rattlesnakes, the river otters. What is peculiar for me is to learn about jaguars. Something that I didn't know is that if you wear a jaguar tooth and you're pregnant, the baby will be a male. So I don't know, but that is something that came out new to me, but you never know what they say, and people will do really sometimes want a boy, so they will go and get a jaguar teeth. We have rescues or purchase of wildlife by well-meaning tourists or expats, and this is something that we've tried to discourage. We have a lot of expats that mean well, and so they see these animals for sale, and so they will purchase it and then give it up to the forest department. And we're telling them by them doing it, it's still creating a demand out there. So we're telling them not to continue that practice. It's better to report it than to be buying from them, because then they will go and get more so that you feel sorry and then go buy it again. And so we have a demand when it comes to wildlife attraction tourism lodges. No secret, Banana Bank is what people call a mini zoo, because they have jaguars, they have monkeys. I don't know where my guys are. I think they have different scarlet macaws. Again, it's different lodges. They're not having it on display. They're just having it as their personal collection, but they're still there and guests still go there. So they say if they can have it, then we can have it. So that's also a demand. Also, wildlife value for the local market here is very low, but it is increasing. Parrot chicks, once upon a time, were at $15 to $25, but they're 2002, which is last year, they are up to $150. And people have no shame. They put it like you see. It's really from a screenshot from Buy and Sell. They post up if you want to buy a parrot. inbox me and you will get your parrot. There, and you can see these ones were confiscated right here in San Ignacio again. I think the officer is here. It's kind of funny when you see these stories and you hear the stories. This was actually confiscated from, I think, two sisters, or a sister and a sister-in-law, or a sister-in-law and something. When we went to confiscate parrots because she was selling it on buy and sell, she says, "Oh, it's my sister-in-law who told on me. So I will tell on her she has these for sale." So it was kind of good for us. It was a good day for us. But it is real. People do have these animals for sale. There's a transboundary movement of wildlife between families and evidence of transboundary smuggling for the wildlife trade. And some examples of this are, for example, we have a white-fronted capuchin, which is non-native to Belize. They had mentioned it. It originates in Honduras, which was confiscated in southern Belize. We suspect it comes from Honduras because the persons who had it owned a chartered company that would travel from, I think, from Dangriga to Honduras. And so we assume that it came in one of those chartered rides. We also have parrots confiscated near the Belize border, suspected to be part of the transboundary trade. I always tease the people from Arcas. I tease Fernando and I tell him that all the parrots that they have in Arcas are Belizean parrots. Sadly. Also, all of this is possible and it's done not only by the Forest Department, it is only possible, and I need to big up these people because it's possible that we do this with our partners. So as part of a strategy for dealing with national trade issues in wildlife, the Forest Department has a memorandum of understanding with 6 rehab centers and the Belize Zoo. Our partners are the Belize Bird Rescue, who deal with mostly birds. We have Wild Trucks who deal with primates and manatees. We have the Belize Raptor Center, and as the name says it, they deal mainly with raptors. We have ACES Wildlife Rescue. They are stationed in San Pedro, and they deal with crocodiles. And if you see, it says Wildlife Rescue, they've increased their mandate to deal with some birds within the island. We have the Belize Wildlife and Referral Clinic. We have CRC, which is the Crocodile Research Coalition, and they're here as well. They will make their presentation. We have the Belize Zoo, and I think they should be here also to make a presentation. And I would love that in their presentation, they highlight what they've been doing, how many animals they get a year. And if they could put a dollar figure to it, you will see the amount that they waste a year or that they have to invest to have these animals, because we honestly do the easiest part. Both us and the police department, I believe we do the easiest part, and that is to enforce the law and confiscate an animal. I can do that anytime, anywhere. That is very easy for me. But to have these animals in these rehab centers for months and years, it takes a lot of investment, time and patience. So I always tell them we do a lot of things, but we do it in conjunction with our partners. Also, they provide facilities for confiscated animals. These are the only centers permitted to rehabilitate wildlife in Belize. So one of our partners, I don't think they're here to present, but it's important to highlight this because most of the animals that are traded are parrots. So like I had mentioned, FD, Belize Bird Rescue, and Tide have a partnership to translocate yellowhead parrot chicks at risk from poaching from the wildlife trade, and they're reintroduced to Paynes Creek National Park. And so for me, it was important to highlight this because for this year, for 2 years now, these are the amount of parrot species that have entered the rescue or the center. 36% are parrots, and the other 30% are songbirds, forest birds. These are woodpeckers. These are the turkeys that we saw. These are different forest animals that are entering into the Belize Bird Rescue And most of them are being gotten through confiscations. And so you can see that the amount of animals that they're getting a year is a lot. And important to highlight as well is here. If you can see the two districts where we see a high number of these animals coming from, it is the Belize district and the Cayo district. These are the two districts that we get a lot of parrots from. I don't know if the officer is here that had alerted us about, he took the train, I think she or he, she took the training, and then she called us to inform us that a person actually came to the station with a parrot, yeah. And so these are the success cases that we must highlight. And these are the things that we must see, because a lot of times we think that it's not happening, but in our district itself, it is happening. Sadly, in Orange Rock, it is low. I come from Orange Rock. I know some of you are from Orange Rock. And you know that that does happen in Orange Rock as well. You get a lot of people selling parrots. They go house to house sometimes, shop to see who can buy these parrots. It's not highlighted here, but it's something that should be highlighted as well. But all is not lost. We also are having the revision of the Wildlife Protection Act. It is currently under revision. And so a lot of the issues that you addressed during the training are going to be addressed in the new revision of the law. We're trying to cover all the gray areas that we have possibly identified, so that we have a stronger, better law. I have my colleague from Fisheries. Their law is a good law, and that is something that we are trying to model at the end of the day, because it took them a while to get to where they are with their legislation, but their legislation is a good one as well. And so we're trying to follow as much as we can from the Fisheries Bill, because that is a bill that I think is a good one that has been developed for many years. And so with that, I say thank you. I know the officer had said what to do when he has something in Orange Rock. We have stations in Belmopan, Orange Rock, Setting National, Mountain Pine, Independence, and Punta Gorda. So if it is that you have an animal, you can contact the nearest forest office. You did mention that we have limited resources. Yes, that is true. But we also work, like I mentioned, with these partners. And more than likely, if it's not the forest department that can transport these animals, we have our partners that can do the transportation for us. And most of the time are the ones that actually do the handling for us as well.